This is a production of WTVI PBS Charlotte.
The following episode of Charlotte, a City of International Success, is brought to you by Central Piedmont Community College and viewers like you. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Dr. Maha Gingrich. Coming up on Charlotte, a City of International Success, I will interview Ineke Wilson, and we're going to talk about the importance of children learning world cultures in schools. Stay with us.
3, 2, 1.
Welcome to Charlotte, a City of International Success. I'm Dr. Maha Gingrich. Today our guest is Ineke Wilson, and she's the founder of The World in Our Backyard. Welcome to our show.
Thank you, Maha.
And you are originally from Netherlands?
I'm from the Netherlands, yes. Born
Holland,
and raised.
Netherlands?
Both.
What is, can you explain a little bit what that's about?
Well, the Netherlands is the official name, but everybody always says Holland. And there's 11 provinces, but the most prominent one is North and South Holland, because that's where Amsterdam is in. So that's what people refer to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that makes sense
Yeah,
now.
and it's like a hole in the land. So, because you know, 1/3 of the country is under sea level.
Oh, how beautiful.
Yes.
Oh, I can't wait
And
to
I
hear
lived,
about it.
I was born close to Schiphol, what is the big airport.
Oh.
And it's called Schiphol because it was a hole, and when they took the water out of the lake, they found a lot of shipwrecks.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so
Oh,
that's why it's called
wow.
Schiphol.
What a great story.
Thank you.
And so, being born there, obviously, now, did you have a large family? Because from my experience,
Right.
majority of the European families didn't really have large families.
They didn't, no.
Yeah,
I have
so-
two brothers, two
yeah.
younger brothers, they're twins, and that's it.
And that's it. So, 3 of you.
Yes.
And then what did your father do?
My dad was an electrician, so, and he had started his own business.
Oh, okay. Did your mom help him, or did she stay home, or do both?
She worked with him, and so when I was born, when I was a baby, my crib was in the factory, and so they both
Really?
worked, yes.
Oh, wow. What did he make?
Well, only when they were working, not the whole time.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Yeah, so you grew up
Yes.
watching the business,
I did.
obviously.
Yes.
What kind of business is that? You said he made something?
He was an electrician, and then he invented something in the summertime when the people would go on vacation. He made those racks for on the cars to put your luggage on.
the luggage racks.
Luggage
yeah,
racks.
For the vehicle.
And then in the winter, he made sleighs.
Oh, you can't go wrong
So,
with that
and they had a
one.
really strong winter the year that I was born, so they did really good that year.
Oh wow, that's very creative, because you know that's most of the time when you have business, then you have ups and downs simply because winter time you don't have business, or summertime
Right.
you don't have that particular business. So in this case, obviously your father has managed
Yes.
both
Yes.
all the seasons.
Yes.
And so you went to school there?
I went to school there, yes. I grew up in a small town outside of Amsterdam.
Okay.
So I rode my
What's the
bicycle.
name of the town?
Bad Hoeverdorp.
Battelverop. And you know something else, you
Yes.
said your official name was something else.
Well, the name that I got when I was born was Klasine Helena Dam. But when I came to the United States,
Yeah.
I changed it because it was so different. And my nickname was Ineke.
Okay.
So when I became an American citizen, I said, well, I'm changing citizenship. I might as well change my name. So I made it Ineke Klasine
Okay.
Vandemullen, because that was my married name.
How is it? Now, did you go? I wasn't sure. Do they bus children, or do you
No,
just walk
everybody
to school?
rides the bikes. Everybody. We have, I think, 16 million people in the Netherlands, and
Yeah.
everybody has either 1 or 2 bikes. There's more bicycles than cars, so
No
everybody
wonder it's
rides
so
their
green
bike.
and pretty.
My mom doesn't even know how to drive a car. My mom drives a bike, rides a bike. All the people do. Even the Queen of the Netherlands rides her bike. So, yeah.
Really? And that is something we are trying to reintroduce here, because
I
also
know.
for the health purpose.
Yeah.
Because you just need to ensure that you're getting your exercise. I
Right.
can't think of a better way. And also, I think beautiful surroundings when you're riding a bike to your school. that itself actually de-stresses you. And,
Right,
wow,
right,
what a
yes.
wonderful, just the whole view just seems very pretty.
You should see the bicycle racks at the train station. I mean, it's like thousands of bicycles. And the bicycles that we have are not very pretty. They're just black, plain as can be, because you don't want anybody to take your bike, so you don't want to be, you know,
something
obvious.
outstanding
Yes,
and expensive.
Yes.
What about the college? Now, did you finish your high school? What did you do
Yes.
after that?
Well, we finish high school, it's from 12 to 16 years old. So when we're 16, you finish high school. Then you go to college. But we have, our college is, so I'm an educator. So I went Monday, Wednesday, and Friday to the college to do the academics. And then on Tuesdays and Thursday, 17 years old, I was already assistant teacher. You are right away in the field. Because what if you want to be a teacher and you don't like children? Then, you know, then you have to go 4 years to school and you find out after 4 years that...
Which happens
Yes.
quite a bit. You know, you finish your bachelor's degree
I
and then
know.
you go, that's not what I want to do.
Right. So
you're
from day
saying-
one, yes.
Okay,
Day one.
so three days you're actually taking classes and you're in a
Academics,
classroom.
yes. But
Okay.
the same with nurses. If you want to be a nurse, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you go to the academics, and Tuesday, Thursday, you go to the hospital. If
So
you want to
all
be,
hands-on.
you know, work on cars, a mechanic, every job, you're right away in the field. But I think it's a good thing. So.
It is. It's an excellent thing because you really get to experience the field and see
Right.
if that's what you want to do.
Yes, yes.
You know, that's absolutely beautiful. After your bachelor's degree, now were you working anywhere or what happened
No,
there?
when I got my degree, almost everybody was a teacher. You know how that goes? I don't know
Oh,
if in
yeah,
this
yeah.
country, you know, all of a
Yeah,
sudden
yeah.
there's like a flood of the same profession. So
Yeah.
couldn't find a job right away, so I stayed home like maybe for 1 or 2 weeks, and I thought that's it. So I worked in a hotel, and I loved it. That was quite an experience. As a matter of fact, that's a fun story. In the hotel, I got day one, and it was so busy, so they couldn't explain how to work the phone line, and I had to do everything, but as you learn the fastest. So it was the old plugins, you know,
Yeah,
with the
yeah,
rooms.
yeah.
And then they asked me if I wanted to announce if, and every time I had to say, this is your wake-up call, this is your wake-up call, every room. So then they asked me if I wanted to see if Mr. Smith was available and come to the lobby. So I go on the big microphone in the hotel and I say, good morning, this is your wake-up call. Because that was still on my brain. And so all the guys upstairs, they said, yeah, we are awake, but thanks for the wake-up call.
Yeah.
But so I worked in a hotel, I worked at a jewelry store, I worked in a restaurant, and I loved every bit of it.
Now-
And then I got a job as a teacher.
Okay. You said you worked in a restaurant.
Yes.
Was it a different experience for you? Because jewelry store, I would think, is a different experience
Right.
versus when you work in a restaurant
Yes.
where everybody and anybody, all kinds of people come in with expectations.
Yes. But I think it's good. I think everybody should work in a restaurant because you got to deal with people.
Yeah.
Plus, I mean, you have all these tables and you learn about, okay, this person still needs iced tea, they need a bill, they need to, so I feel like I learned to oversee a lot by working in a restaurant.
So really keeping track of everything.
Yes.
Learning to oversee.
You got to have eyes in the back of your head, yes.
Yeah. If you really want good tips.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. That's wonderful. And you know, that's also, I would think, an opportunity to meet people.
Yes. Because you meet
Right.
all kinds of people, that's right.
Yeah, and you learn a lot from
Yes.
different personalities. And did you have situations where people liked you and then they always came and sat at your table?
Oh yeah, yes. And then the challenge was, you know, the people that, you know, were kind of, you know, not so nice, then I would just always be, so, and what are you going to do today? What are you going to have? So, yeah, I like challenges.
You like challenges?
Yes.
Okay, obviously, especially seeing what you're doing today. So after that, how did you end up in the U.S.?
Well, when I was 16, I had an aunt and uncle that lived in Boston, and they invited me, so I went for 6 weeks, and I didn't want to go. I thought the United States, they have cowboys and Indians, and they have, you know, skyscrapers, because that's all we saw on TV. We watched Peyton Place, we watched Dallas, and we watched, you know, Bonanza. Remember Bonanza and High Chaparral? So I thought that's how America looked like. So I said, do I have to go? I don't want to go. My father said, that's good. You can learn the English. So that was in Boston. And my uncle had a house in New Hampshire. And of course it was wonderful, you know, lakes. And it's, you know, I loved it. And then I didn't want to go home anymore. So yeah, it was fun. So that was when I was 16.
Wow. Wow.
And then when I got married, my first husband had an opportunity to move to another country, and I said, let's go to the United States. So
you already fell in love there.
Yes. So we came here in 1981.
Where did you come to, Charlotte? Or?
Nope, to Beaufort, North Carolina. Not Beaufort, Beaufort, North Carolina.
Yes. Oh, that's a very small town.
Very small, very small. And I loved it because I came from a small town where everybody knew each other to Beaufort where everybody knew each other. So I felt right at home.
So you didn't really have like a culture shock or anything like that?
No, as a matter of fact, I can't say the date, but 1981, so 34 years ago this weekend is when we came. Brilliant. And then all my friends and family said, are you homesick? And I said, are you kidding? I'm living at the beach. The weather is beautiful. I'm not homesick. I love it here. Yeah. Right.
So did you have any learning curve at all? Because, you know, you obviously you're used to bicycles, right?
Yes.
So were you riding bikes there instead? Or did you learn to drive? How did you survive your transportation and doing
Well, the
things?
first week, I guess we needed food. So my husband went to work and I thought, well, I'm going to walk to the grocery store.
Yeah.
Now, this was at Atlantic Beach. So I walked. And after 1.5 hours, I finally came to the store. And then I thought, okay, I'm going to get some hamburgers. Now, in the Netherlands, when you buy hamburgers, they're already made. I looked all over the store and I'm like, this is the United States. Where are the hamburgers? But I didn't know I had to make them. So somebody explained I had to buy ground beef. So I bought that and I bought a gallon of milk. And that's all I could buy because I had to walk back 1.5 hours.
You had to come back.
I know. So I told my husband, I said, I think we need a car. So then we went and we looked for a car. And we got a second-hand convertible, Buick Skylark, 57, I so remember. Oh, because this is like what you see in the movies, you know, a convertible, big car. Nobody in the Netherlands had a car like this. I said, oh my God. And it was only $2,500. And my dad, I remember telling him, he said, you bought what? A 17-year-old car, you know? For that much money, he thought it was falling apart, but we loved it. We loved it.
Well, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
So from there, now how did you end up in Charlotte? I mean, that's a...
I know. So we lived there for 9 years, loved it because it's where people retire. It's a beautiful place. But we wanted something different. We missed the big city and we missed, you know, it's a nice place to retire, like I said. So my husband could get a job at a veneer company. That's what he worked for. He worked for a veneer company in Beaufort and then in Charlotte, in Indian Trail. So that's where we went. And now that was a culture shock. Coming from Beaufort to Charlotte, you know, big city, it's just different. It's very different. So,
in what way was it?
Because we didn't know anybody and so much traffic and just a big city.
And this was when?
1990.
1990.
Yes.
Traffic.
Yes, and it's not even it's double probably now.
It is today, yeah, exactly.
There was no Valentine when we came here.
You know, you said you love challenges, and obviously, you know, you love to do things and energy. So what did you do?
My daughter was 5, and she went to McKee Elementary, and so I helped at the school, was the room mom.
Yeah.
And so the assistant principal came to me and she said, you travel to all these places. We would love to do an international fair at the school. Can you help us with that? So I thought about it and I thought, you know what we can do? We can set up 6 tables for every continent in the gym and then have all the kids come. And each table is a continent. So I asked all the parents at the school to bring artifacts because everybody has knickknacks from countries. So we divided it up and then my friends helped. And then the kids would come and we would blow a horn or blow a whistle. You know, the train is leaving, 10 minutes to the next continent. And they learned a lot. And that was 25 years ago. And they still do this at Providence Springs.
Now you said 6 continents.
Oh, in Europe, yes. It's Australia, Africa, Asia, Europe, and the Americas. So it's 5 continents.
Okay.
And here we have North and South America.
Isn't
So we
it
have 6.
interesting?
I
Exactly.
know,
I mean,
I
it just
know.
people don't think about these kind of things because you get educated and you think, oh yeah, I know exactly what I'm talking about.
Right.
Until you really learn that how different countries or
Yes.
even continents in this case, how they're looked at. So you learned it as 6 because
Right.
America's North and South
Yes.
was one continent. And that,
And in I had an exchange student from Ecuador, and he said the same thing. He said, we live in the Americas. But I think here they make a difference between North and South America.
that's pretty neat. That itself is a learning for me.
Yes.
So now when you went to school and you started doing this international.
Yes, so the
kind
both schools, there's 2 schools that are still doing this, where we started 25 years ago. So that's really neat. And a lot of schools now do it.
Is that the reason that you started your business?
Yes, yes. About 12 years ago, so I was, PTA mom. I did organize the barbecue at homecomings. I did everything at school. Pat McCrory called me one time Miss Providence because I'm from Providence High School. No, not because I was that pretty, but because I did a lot at the school. Yeah. And, from dinner theater to all the things that my daughter was involved in.
Wow.
And then when she graduated high school, everybody was worried, not about her, about me, what I was going to do with my time.
I like that.
You like that? Yes. Yeah, they were really worried about me. So my husband said, why don't you start a business or do something that you really love? So I thought about it for a week and I thought, what is it that I really, really like? Well, I like to educate, I like to teach, and I love to travel. I mean, we've been all over the world. And I really felt that there was a need for adults, but also children, to learn about different cultures. So I started with Africa. I've been to Africa 4 times, and I felt that in this country, people know the least about Africa. That's what I think.
Yeah.
And so when I do my programs at the school, like Africa, and I have a lot of black kids and black teachers, they're like sponges. They cannot get enough of it because they think in Africa it's only poor people, and they all live in clay huts. And there's big cities, there's wonderful things, in Africa. So I love showing pictures, the artifacts. So it's a lot of fun.
Basically, what you're telling me is you brought all these world experiences that you had and then brought it to schools.
Yes.
Why is it important to you?
Well, because I love to make a difference. I love to make a difference in a child's view. It's like when we do Mexico and I see, a little girl and her parents are from Mexico, you can see them grow, that they're proud of their, their culture, yeah. And even the Netherlands. I mean, I learned a lot by researching, by researching all these countries. I think it's very important. And a lot of children or adults cannot go to these countries. We're just very fortunate we can travel. So I thought instead of them going to the country, we'll bring the country to them.
Yeah, I think it's a great experience, especially for children, because that is the age you're going to open their eyes.
Yes.
And open their experiences to different cultures. And, just to understand that sometimes we are more alike than different, so you see that.
Right.
And sometimes you go, oh my God, this is so different, just like what you said with the continents.
Yes, yes.
So that kind of experience is coming firsthand from somebody who has traveled. I think it makes a huge difference.
Yes, and the kids love the stories. I tell you the biggest compliment always when the kids say, this was fun. Or they will say, can I do 5th grade over again? Because then I get the program again. I said, don't do that. we'll come to the next grade. But the biggest compliment I ever got was at a school, and I did an after-school program on China. And after school, they've been in school the whole day. So, they're tired. Yeah. But, I did my whole program and all that. Well, I come back to that same school 2 years later during the day. And we did the whole school. So it was class after class after class. And do the China program. And there's this little boy sitting there, probably 1st grade. And I do my story about China. And I say, and then the queen walked in the garden and something dropped in her cup of tea. What do you think it was? Now, almost nobody knows that. So the little boy says, it was the silkworm. I said, oh my gosh. It was the cocoon from a silkworm. That's how they discovered silk. you know, because once
Yeah.
the cocoon came in there, it came apart. I said, wow, that's amazing that you know that, you know, but I thought maybe his parents told it. And then I said, well, how many people do you think live in China? Little boy, 1 billion people. I said, really good. Well, anyway, do my story, and then after I was finished, I said, well, I hope you all enjoy China. And the little boy says, Miss Ineke, you forgot to talk about the biggest McDonald's in the world. Because I normally say that. And I said, sweetheart, how do you know all this? He said, well, you came to my school when I was in kindergarten.
Oh, isn't that wonderful?
Yes. Well, and then the teacher came afterwards. She said, if you think that was good, this kid never pays attention in the classroom. It's amazing that he even remembered that. So kids learn in different ways. They learn visual, you know, hearing, and we dress the kids up in costumes so they get a whole feel for it.
Wow, that's
So-
a real experience for
Yes,
kids.
yes,
That's wonderful. And see, so you're doing this on the side,
yes.
and obviously, you know, knowing you, you're definitely high energy. So
I'm sitting very still here. So.
you're doing very good, very good. So, what was your next step? What did you do after that? Now I know that you met Bob.
Yes, met Bob to the Rotary.
Rotary
7 years ago, yes.
Rotary Club.
Yes, when I started my business, somebody invited me to a Rotary Club. They said, oh, you should come. So I went, and I liked the club, I liked the people, and became a charter member. It was the Valentine Rotary, so they started that club, and before I knew it, they had twisted my arm, and I was the president. You know how that feels,
Oh,
right?
yeah. Yes, I do.
And I had a really good time. It was just so fun. And Bob was the governor at that time. Now we have 59 clubs in our Rotary district, and the governor visits each club just once.
Yeah.
But Bob kept coming back, and I kept saying, am I doing something wrong? And he said, no, you're doing something right.
I love the story you told me. So who married you and Bob? Can you share that with our viewers?
Sure. Well, first of all, I got to tell how Bob proposed to me through the Rotary for a fundraiser for polio. We climbed Mount Kilimanjaro. 28 of us climbed Kilimanjaro. Now, Bob was the oldest to climb this, and I was really proud of him, but he was on a mission. Because once we reached the top, he said, Ineke, would you like to be my wife? Now, I had frozen feet at that time, so I said, Bob, I got cold feet. And he said, that's not what we say in the United States. So then I said, yes, I will. So anyway, so when we came back, we are really good friends with the Carters, President Carter and Rosalind. And we go fishing.
Carter and Rosalind Carter.
Yes.
Wow.
Bob has
Okay.
been friends with them for 30 years, and I'm just very fortunate to call them my friends too.
Absolutely.
And we go fly fishing twice a year. We went to Argentina, Mongolia, everywhere. So at one trip, we'll tell the story about Bob proposing to me on Mount Kilimanjaro, because President Carter had climbed Kilimanjaro. And President Carter said, I tell you what, I'll marry you guys. Well, first I thought he said, I'll marry you. And I said, President Carter, you're already married to Rosalind. How can you marry me? But he said, I'll marry you guys. And we said, oh my gosh, that would be neat. He said, yeah, that's on my bucket list. I've never done that. I said, well, we don't want to ruin your bucket list if that's what you want to do. So, of course, in North Carolina, he couldn't marry us because you have to have a minister. So he was our officiator. So we had a minister and then President Carter.
You know, that's a wonderful experience itself.
Yes.
And very quickly, I would like to talk about in a field, in a world right now, it's a global world out there. You know, whether you're ready or not, it's out there. And so you are spending most of your time either working with schools, educating them about the world, or in Rotary clubs where you're actually introducing international projects, district projects, community projects, and saving the nature. I see the butterfly on you. You know, bringing monarchs back into the community. That's a lot of work.
Yes.
That's a lot of energy, a lot of work, and a lot of challenges that you love.
Yes.
So if somebody else wants to really be this global citizen where they want to make a difference in the community and do different things like this, what are the basic things that they need to have?
Well, they need to have passions. I mean, for whatever they want to do, passion, and then a purpose. I'm always saying, why am I doing this? a purpose, and you need to be persistent. I think it's the 4 P's to success, right? Persistence, be prepared, plan, and be passionate about it. Right now I'm passionate about my monarch butterflies, so I want to bring those back. And with the Rotary District, everybody's excited about it. So we're all planting butterfly gardens.
In our communities.
In our communities, yes.
59 counties.
Yes.
Or 59 clubs.
2,800 members, yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. That's a huge initiative.
Yes.
And really, to do something like this, like you said, it's a purpose and planning as well as really a passion to do it.
Right.
And also, I think from my perspective, is need to have proper knowledge.
Right.
You know, you have gone through in Rotary different positions, like you said, to be a district governor. And if I'm right, if I'm not wrong, you're the first female international district governor for the Rotary Club.
Yes, yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
And so really to do all this and then to do the business, all this, I think it's beyond web experience of researching.
Right.
Right?
Yes, yes, yes. You mean to be a governor?
Yeah, everything. I mean, to
Everything.
really teach about world, you need to really have first-hand experience.
Absolutely, absolutely. But you always need to look things up too, just to make sure that it's, you know, right, that you're just not making it up.
Yeah.
So you have to do a lot of research and education.
Make sure it's correct.
I love to educate, but I love to learn myself. You're never too old to learn. So.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Well, it's wonderful chatting with you. I wish I had more time.
I know,
But
I
it's
know.
wonderful chatting with you. And thank you for being on our show.
Thank you so much, Maha.
Thank you for watching Charlotte, a city of international success. I'm Dr. Maha Gingrich. Please join us again next time, right here on WTVI PBS Charlotte.
A production of WTVI PBS Charlotte.